Hey guys, it's Mr. Mini Painter here, and today we're going to be painting the Werewolves of Angmar in a fairly easy fashion, I think. I really like these new resin models by Games Workshop in their miniature range of Middle-earth, and today we're going to show you how I painted these two. I primed the models in a gray, light gray base coat, as we're going to be starting the first layer with a contrast paint. And contrast paints usually work best on bright surfaces. Now for the first layer I'm going to use Cygor Brown, which is, in my opinion, one of the nicest browns for animal skin, for furs, because it's a nice dark warm tone, and it shows these nice, or the benefit of these contrast paints is you get instant shading as well, of course. And with fur, that is perfect. Now these werewolves, they appeared very early in Middle-earth. They were one of the original servants of Lord Sauron. He has been known to change into a wolf form at least once himself. And I think now in this new miniature range they serve the Witch King. Well, look at this. First layer done. And they look great already. But we're not there yet. We're going to be touching the top mains with Black Templar. And I thinned down the Black Templar to about 50-50 because I didn't want a dark full coverage. I just wanted to darken the brown a little bit. And as you can see here, I'm touching parts of the fur, not all of it, because I want a nice transition of the non-furry part to the fur. I want to differentiate a little bit from top to bottom. So I'm just touching the middle of the fur, if you know what I mean. So the parts where no fur is shown, I want to have a transition from brown to darker brown, black. So just touch parts of it, not all of it. So I did the back, the tail. I did not do the head because I want to make it pop out and be a little bit brighter than the rest. And I didn't touch the hands, feet, the claws, etc. So just the top, the back, the shoulders, the arms. As this dries, I decided to do the base first in a skeletal horde, which is also a contrast paint. It's a bit of a dirty brown look, and I wanted to give it a sandy finish, but you can choose any color you want, of course, for your own base. Next, I used Basilicum Gray on the stone parts, so the rocks, the broken off pieces of stone, etc. And I used Baneblade Brown to brighten up the head. As I mentioned before, I want the head to be the centerpiece of the model, so all the skin areas, so that's the head, the ears, the biceps, the claws, the feet. I used a dry brush and I just brightened it up a little bit, leaving the dark Cygor Brown in the back. Now I did a second layer with Recarved Flesh. Also just with a dry brush, touch the very tops, make it a nice finish, a nice highlight. Now I decided for the mains to touch the very tips with Grey Cedar. Just a little part of the shoulder, not too much, because you do not want to cover your entire model with one color. You want to, well, you want to mix it up a little bit. I gave one of these two a little bit more of a gray look. The other one I left a little bit more brown. Here you see the results, and it's time for the tongue. One of them has its mouth open, and I used Streamer Pink, which is a nice dark purplish pink, for the tongue, as well as the gums above the teeth, the inner side of the mouth. It's a little bit hard to see here, but just touch those gums above the teeth. And we're going to be cleaning up the teeth afterwards, so it's not a big deal if you spill a little bit. Make sure you get a nice coverage. And after this is done, we're going to be shading it with some Carbro Crimson. I used it in its pure form. It's quite dark, but that's okay for this one. Now, I did the eyes first with Palette Witch Flesh. They're very tiny on this model, even for a model this size. And I touched the insides of the eye with a little dot of Abaddon Black. But you can give the eyes any color you want, of course. For the teeth, I used Karak Stone, which is a bit of a filthy brown look. I'm going to be highlighting it later on with some brighter colors. Make sure to touch the teeth on all sides, and also the inside of the mouth on the model with the open mouth, of course. Second layer is Screaming Skull. Make sure to leave some of the Karak Stone to create kind of a dirty look. And give the rest of the teeth, the bottom to the point, a layer of this Karak Stone. And after that, we will be highlighting this as well, but just the very tips and the front of the teeth with some Palette Witch Flesh. Now, I'm going to be using some Agrax Earthshade to create some more detail on the head of the werewolves. So I just touched the head, the recesses, and created some extra shades, so that the brighter brown colors, which we're going to be highlighting later on, will pop out even more. Now for the fingernails, I used Black Legion, which is also a contrast paint and gives quite some nice variety of blacks. Now the face I'm going to be highlighting with some Night Questor Flesh, and I started with the ears and the lips. Just the tip of the ears, the outsides, the part where the light would normally shine on, and the lips of this werewolf, which are very thin, and make sure not to mess up your pink you painted before, but that gives a nice extra detail to the face. Now the rocks, I dry brushed them with some gray cere to create that nice edgy look. You can stipple something on if you want to create some rough surface. And I used gray cere as well as the highlight of the fingernails, the claws. The very tips, the part where the light would shine on. Don't forget the feet. And now we're getting to the final details. There is a shield of Arnor, which I base coated with Caliban Green. And the rims of the shield, you can see them over here. I used some lead Belcheron. It's quite hard to reach, so I might have assembled it later, but it's there, so I have to manage now. I used gray cere on the white parts of the shield, so the stars, Here I used Null Oil to dirty up the shield and to make those cracks look very nice, because it's broken, it's a busted shield. You can edge highlight the shield with some Warpstone Glow if you want. And there we have them, the Werewolves of Angmar. I'm very happy with how they turned out. I love how their faces kind of pop out. The browns, they look really nice. There's a nice differentiation. So thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos.